Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about how to tell when a stock is about to top out or if we're about to get a change of direction. So it relates mostly to volume. When you see a high volume node like this, when you see on a day there was a lot of transactions that went through, like this one, you can tell. It usually indicates a change of direction. It means heavy investors are either buying or selling on that day. So we are looking at the 1 year, 1 day chart. And when you see a high volume node like this, what it tells you is look at the candle. We open here, we hit lows of here, we closed up here, but we hit range of here. And we had a high volume node. So what does that tell you? It tells you investors are buying that day and they're trying to get in. There was a lot of transactions that went through. So what does that tell you? It means the heavy banks, the big banks with a lot of money are buying here on this day, which makes sense. That was previous support. So what happens next day? The next day we go up because all the big monies are coming in. Could be a sort of a uptrend, or it could just be telling you that the following day we will see a green day. And let's see the bottom. So we had another high volume node right here on the bottom, right? These 2 days, very high volume. So what does that tell you? It means people, heavy banks, people with a lot of money are buying here. So what does this candle tell you? It tells you we open here, right? Bears try to sell it. It hit lows of here, but we close here, right? So this right here is where we close. This is the high of where we hit. And yeah, so what does that tell you? Well, it tells you we might have hit the bottom. A lot of people are coming in to buy at this level right here. So what happens the next day? We start going up. We gap up, we start moving up. All right, and let's take an example. Yeah, just spot all the high volume and try to work on this exercise and see if you're able to spot them and see what the candles are telling you. So this one right here, very high volume, red candle, right? We had a gap down, so very high volume on the trading day. Bears pushed it down. What happens the next day? We open up here, bears try to push it down one more time. Boom. A lot of transactions went through in those 2 days. But what happens the day before? What happens the second day of the high volume? Well, you can see bears try to push it down, but we had a wick on the bottom. So it shows that buyers are interested, right? There's people who are bears try to push it down. We didn't get a solid red candle like this, but we did have buyers step in and push the price back up. So what happened here? The next day we had like a neutral price, kind of a little higher, but let's see. So that's one way to predict and how to use volume on trying to find tops and bottoms. And let's look at the FANG stocks. So we have Apple here, right? So Apple, we had a high volume here. We ended with a green candle. On the upper half of the candle is green. So what does that tell us? That tells us investors are buying at this price, right? And what's gonna happen the next day? Boom, price goes higher, right? So it shows that investors are very interested at this price, and a lot of transactions are buying. Investors are buying at this price to push the volume, to push the price higher. Okay, let's see if we can find another one. So right here, high volume day, right? Right here, high volume day. It's high volume because we gapped up and we closed on the highs. What does that tell us? that tells us price will continue to move up because we close on a high with such high volume. That means there are a lot of buyers interested. And then boom, Apple keeps moving up. Then we had a high volume here. What does this candle tell us? Well, we're at the top. It's a red candle, right? So it's showing a lot of bears or a lot of sellers coming in to push the price down. So usually what that means is a lot of the banks are selling and trying to get rid of the stock, and then you got traders coming in, buying, and blah blah blah. I think this could be, I know Apple just recently did a split, so this price just, multiply by 4 and you'll get the old price. But anyways, that's not very important. It's just what the chart's trying to tell us. So right here, high volume day, right? Compared to the other days, high volume day, we close on the upper. What does that mean? Boom, prices can move higher. Down here, the next day, boom, red candle. I would say it's a lower kind of weekend. I know we can already see the next couple days, but you could tell this candle alone right here. I would assume this one's pretty bearish, and we might have a possible range of that candle for a couple of days, but ultimately there's a chance of us moving down as big banks are trying to get out at this point. And yeah, so I'm just gonna cover a couple more stocks and use this volume to kind of tell us where it's going. So Amazon right here, high volume right here. It's right after earnings. So what does this tell us? Well, Amazon had a very good earnings, first of all, so we had a gap up, but it's a high volume day. So boom, investors are trying to lock in profits. Usually what this kind of gap up after earnings tells you is that banks and high investors are trying to lock in their profits, pushing the price down, trying to sell it out. So the next day usually would be followed by a red day. But as you can see, that the next day we kind of traded within range of the previous day, right? So that set a new range for us. Usually after a gap up, the next day support and resistance would be highs and lows would usually be consolidating range. So right here, so as you could tell, kind of let me draw a trend line real quick. So you could tell we spent a couple of days here in that range and we broke higher, blah blah. Ultimately we went higher. Let's see. So let's see, Amazon right here, high volume day, bearish candle, right? So we know the next day is gonna be another bearish. It did get very bearish right here, but volume started to die a little bit. So I would probably start looking to get out the next day. And right here, another high volume day, green, right? So what does that tell us? It tells us that a lot of investors are getting in. As you could tell, it did break a previous level, so we did have a high range that trading day. And what does this tell us? Well, possibly Amazon might move a lot higher. And yeah, so we're probably gonna consolidate, chop around this range if the market doesn't, go sideways. But just be careful of volume. If the volume starts to pick up, just know that and you are getting a red candle forming, just know that it probably wouldn't be a bad choice to start locking in profits. Okay, so Facebook right here, boom, high volume day, boom, high volume day, boom, high volume day. So what do these tell us? Well, this high volume day right here, it's a red candle. What does that tell us? Well, big banks are getting out. So what does that mean for next day? We're gonna have a sell-off, right? But we close green. So what does that mean? It means investors are finding this price very attractive, and they're buying it all up. And we close on the highs of that day. So what does that mean? Blah blah. Blah. We go up. Right, another high volume day here on Facebook. What does this tell us? Well, previous day we had a very green candle, so it means prices went up. Bears try to push it even high. I'm sorry, bulls try to push it a little higher. Bears push it down. We close right around here. Very high volume. What does this mean? It means we could have a change of direction, right? Sellers are coming in, high volume. Even though we do have a green candle, the wick is a lot longer than the actual colored candle itself. So I would see this as bearish, and as you can see, the next couple of days we drop, and this right here, boom, high volume day, very green close. So, and it makes sense, new highs, right? New highs on the market. So we know this could be a potential level, so we could come down, tag it, and go back up. This is a very green candle, so this usually tells us that we are gonna move a lot higher, but we will see. Only time can tell. Google, right? So I'm only going over the really big stocks, the faint stocks that really does affect the market a lot. If you guys don't know, Apple, Amazon, Facebook, Google, Microsoft are probably the biggest mover of the market, right? It's weighted the most in the Qs, NASDAQ, and also SPY. So however these stocks move, it's going to affect the overall market. So we are covering these. So boom, right here, high volume day. That means a lot of transactions went through that day. So yeah, high volume day here, high volume day here. This is a pretty neutral day. As you can tell, even though we had high volume, we had a lot of bears and bulls fighting for the range. And yeah. Right here, high volume day, very bullish, right? The wick's a lot smaller than the candle itself. So what happens the next day? We move higher. So yeah, so just be careful. We're pretty high up right now. So if you start seeing high volume days, just kind of look at the story that the wick candles are telling. If investors are actually interested or if they're trying to get out. Let's go over one more example. So SPY, what do you see? I think we might have covered SPY already actually, but let's take a look. So yeah, we definitely did cover SPY, I think. So boom, high volume, right? High volume day right here. Let's highlight it. Boom, high volume day. Oops, sorry. High volume day, high volume day. Then what happens after the 2 high volume days? Boom, gap up, and we start running. So I hope this helped a little bit. If you guys have any questions, leave in a comment. And this right here is a market profile. This is a little bit more advanced, which I will go over in a later video. But as of right now, I just kind of want to go over how the volume can tell you a lot. So volume mixed with candlesticks, it will tell you a lot about what investors are actually interested, or how the investors are seeing a certain price, if it's gonna go higher or if it's gonna go lower. Yeah, so I hope this helped. If you guys have any questions, just leave it in a comment and I'll get to it. If you guys have any more video ideas or anything you want me to go over, leave it in a comment as well. I'll try my best to cover it. Thank you. Bye.